Are we good? We'd like to welcome you to the Pleasant View City Council meeting this Tuesday, May 26, 2026. I'm Steve Gibson, Mayor, and I'd like to ask Johnny Ferry if he'd offer the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer, reading, or expression of thought.
Audience, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, grateful for the opportunity to be grateful for this beautiful place to live, we can raise our families, be able to have our neighbors, be able to support and those that serve and be able to provide for our communities. We're grateful for the blessings that come from those that quietly do thy will and serve others. Pray thy Spirit to be with us tonight, help us on our decision making, have our minds clear about the decisions we need to make, to listen to those that are here to present, and to keep in mind those decisions that will be most impactful to the city. Say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, 1B is declaration of conflicts of interest. So everybody had a chance to look at the agenda, and are there any conflicts? Seeing none, public comments, questions for the mayor, city council, and this will be limited to 3 minutes. And again, for those who are making the public comments, there may or may not be a response. Any public comments? Come up to the mic, state your name and address.
Hello. I'm Stacy Dixon. I live at 3080 North, 325 West. Thank you. And I have this to give you guys. I ought to have printed a copy for everyone. I apologize, but who can I?
If you'll give that to Laurie, she can put it in public record.
Hey, so I am here today because I was asked last year to come back again and reopen a discussion about a community musical. Last year, with generous donations from a business owner and from Far West City, I helped North Ogden City produce Bye Bye Birdie at the beautiful Barker Park Amphitheater, which is just a few minutes drive from Pleasant View City. North Ogden's contribution was the use of the Senior Center for rehearsals and the amphitheater for the show, which would have been about $8,000 in rental fees. It was such a fun show in a beautiful location and came together really well with a lot of hard work from so many people who believed in the project. I would love to see this program grow and become something people look forward to each year. I brought you some information and included a proposed budget for 2026, and we would be so appreciative if Pleasant View would offer their support this year. I feel that most of your city residents would be proud their city is working to take part in the arts and give them opportunities to participate in and enjoy musical theater. Theatrical rights have been applied for, and the show will be in September again this year. Auditions will be held in June. The show title can be announced and advertised on your website, on social media, and newsletter as soon as rights are secured, which hopefully will be as soon as tomorrow. If Pleasant View decides to participate, though the venue isn't, actually in our city, it's very close, and Pleasant View doesn't have a venue currently for a community theater program. So I feel like it makes sense to partner up with North Ogden and be able to still offer this advantage to our residents. Thank you sincerely for your time and thoughts. If anyone has questions, I included my email and phone number on the budget and with a little more information. Would love to see some kind of like a 4-city collaboration every year, maybe. And I mentioned in there that I won't be going back to Far West to ask for money every year. They did a one-time donation. And I feel like if each of the surrounding cities maybe would consider a one-time donation, then that would be enough to perpetuate the program and move it forward each year, you know, with ticket sales replacing what was used that year for the show. Last year we did bake back almost everything we spent. It was the very first year, so I feel like that was pretty impressive. And so I feel like it will just continue to grow from there.
Good, thank
So,
you very much.
Thank you. Maybe
Appreciate
we
it.
Come back and talk on the agenda sometime if you have more questions.
Thank you.
Thoughts. Good day.
All right, we have item number 3, excuse me, item number 2, consent items, bills of the Pleasant View City. Has everybody had a chance to look at those bills? I'd entertain a motion.
Move for approval of the consent items.
Here we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion, a second, all in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? I apologize, Dave Marriott is excused today. He's with his family. Won't be here today. Okay, item number 3, this is the Neighbors in Action. Caught Being Good, the presenter will be Mrs. Wilkinson. Sunny, I don't know if we,
You can call me son.
Sunny. This is a wonderful thing. I just want to let you guys know that you've gotten countywide attention for this. We've had some of the Weber CTC really look at it and want to kind of emulate some of these things in some of the youth throughout the county. So it's being noticed. So anyway, thank you.
Very good. All right. Well, I'm here tonight representing the Neighbors in Action Committee, it consists mainly of some spouses from the city council members. And each month we highlight a community member who is caught being good. And this month, for May 2026, we are highlighting Lisa Bell. And she's behind me, so I'm going to say it nice and loud so she can hear the nice things that were said about her. Lisa Bell was recently caught being good in one of the simplest yet most meaningful ways. While out walking her dog, she noticed waste left behind by another dog owner and quietly stopped to clean it up herself. That small act of kindness perfectly reflects the type of person Lisa is: thoughtful, caring, and always willing to make her community a better place. Her compassion extends far beyond everyday moments. Lisa generously volunteers her time each week at the local animal shelter and has even opened her home to shelter animals in need of love and care. She is known by friends, neighbors, and customers alike as someone who goes out of her way to help others and brighten the lives of those around her. In addition to her service to the community, Lisa owns and operates a professional hair design studio where her clients absolutely adore her for both her talent and her warm personality. When she is not serving others, she enjoys traveling and spending quality time with her sweetheart. For her kindness, generosity, and community spirit, we are proud to recognize Lisa Bell as the May 2026 recipient of the Caught Being Good Award. And we will turn it over to Mayor Gibson to present the award to Lisa.
Thank you. You know, it is the little things, picking up stuff along the path or just any of these little things. If everybody did that, we'd have a huge difference in Pleasant View. And so thank you so much. I'm going to read this. Caught Being Good, May 26, 2026. Lisa Bell, in recognition of your quiet dedication, selfless service, and positive impact on Pleasant View community, your humility and commitment exemplify the values that strengthen our city. Thank you very much. Sarah and Ben. You just get caught. Those are the fun, good things. Thank you. All right, now, item number 4. We're gonna have a public hearing concerning tough fees, discussion and possible action to increase the transportation utility fee, which is tough, which helps fund the construction, maintenance, and operation of the city's transportation system, including streets, sidewalks, and related improvements. This will be ordinance 2026-12. Sarah, with Jones Associates will address this. I would, I think let's open it up. Or should we hear from her first or open up the public hearing?
We can open it and then we'll
Let's, I'd entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Sarah, go ahead and you can present. Yeah. We will not comment too much on that, but we will.
So if we're gonna have her present, close the public hearing, let her present. The public hearing is solely for comments from. Sorry.
May I make a motion, we close the public hearing
Hey,
I second
or rescind public?
okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're out of a public hearing. Go ahead. We'll open it in a minute.
Okay, so we've gone through this several times and I prepared a very abbreviated presentation for the public to understand what we're discussing, and hopefully that'll help with some of the public comment that you received. So it's the back pages with the actual presentation. So online, as part of the packet, we have the actual study that was performed. Oh, it's sideways. Okay.
That's okay.
There we go. Okay. And so essentially what we're talking about, and if we go to the next slide, and this is the bottom line of what we're dealing with, state and local funding has not kept up with increased construction costs. That's why we're dealing with what to do to fund our transportation system here in Pleasant View. The state continually doesn't keep up, and then local funding has a hard time keeping up. So we're looking at a specific fee to help support the road systems in Pleasant View. So a transportation utility fee, it's used by local governments to maintain the local roads. It's paid by property owners based on their access and use of the transportation system. So it's different than a tax. It's a usage fee, like you would have a water bill or a sewer bill. If you're using the utility, you pay for the utility. And it's a more equitable distribution than just taxing the entire public. And that's why we've presented this idea to the council as an option. The importance of road maintenance, and you can see on this chart, basically, if we wait until the roads are entirely degraded to do maintenance, it's too late, and we're gonna have to spend a lot more money to improve the condition of the roads. If we can consistently spend money to maintain our roads, overall, we'll be able to save money and have better roads through the process. And so looking at how much square footage of road we have in Pleasant View to fit the very minimum 7-year chip seal requirement, and there's a good chance many roads will need it more often and some roads less. But if we, on average, just chip seal, that doesn't mean replacing any roads, but just maintain with chip seal, that's $1 million a year that Pleasant View City is going to see in expenses for maintaining the roads. So looking at the current conditions, and I won't go too heavily into this, we ran some analysis on the road system based on their condition and saw that there's about 10 years of life left on average in the roads. What's really concerning is that a large portion of the roads are hitting the end of their service life and the end of where we could maintain them. And we do need to, we do have a lot of roads that need some intense maintenance coming up. And we can skip this. These are numbers, but it's just the roads are needing help. So the factors that we look at for what contributes to the degradation of the roads, there's the environment. Utah, Pleasant View in particular, up on the hill, gets a lot of snow, and that tends to degrade the roads faster than other areas. And then just traffic loading. So where we don't control the environment, and that's the same, we looked at traffic loading for distributing the needed funds or the fees. So we looked at the residential impact and assumed all residents were using the roads fairly similarly in the grand scheme of things. Each household is generating similar amount of trips in comparison to commercial uses. So the commercial uses were separated into different categories depending on how many trips their commercial use generated, how much impact they had on the roads. We also looked at heavy trucks. Heavy trucks put a huge impact on the road conditions. So that was something we considered. And just we adjusted if there was a commercial use that was only used seasonally. So those are the factors we looked at. So looking at recommended fee schedules that I had in the study, we saw that if we chip sealed every road once every 7 years, and we replaced 1% of the roads yearly, we would need to have it's just under $14 per residence of a monthly fee going towards our road system. And if we wanted to chip seal a little bit more often or replace more roads, there are different options with increasing base fees. And that $13.86 fee, you can see it translates into different fees that go to our commercial users based on their usage. Now, when I presented this to the city council last month, they were very concerned about the sharp increase in the fee and wanted to see what the fee schedule would look like if we considered different lower rates. And so I believe this is here. So I looked at if in a 10-year period, we needed to or wanted to generate as much funds as we would by just increasing to the lowest recommended ERU, which was just around that $14. So if we did $8, you can see what that fee schedule would look like for the other commercial categories. And if we increased it $2 every year up till year 5, over the 10-year span, we would be generating as much funds in 10 years as if we increased it all the way up to that nearly $14 fee this year. So of course, so options for the council, you could adopt this increasing fee schedule if you only wanted to adopt one fee right now, and then it would automatically increase every year without another hearing. Or if you want to just adopt the $8 fee, 10, 12, you can see what those look like for each of those categories. So it's just different options for generating the amount of funds that we see Pleasant View needing to maintain the road system. Anything else right now?
Should we open the public hearing before we have discussion, or?
You have questions? Discussion.
Because I'd like to have some discussion from the community, from the public before we, I don't know. Typically, that's what we've done, is had a public hearing and then wait for after that to have our.
That's totally fine. She just can't. Here.
Okay. All right.
But I'm sure they could ask me questions after the public hearing if there were any questions
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, but does council have any questions for Sarah before we open the public hearing?
The numbers that you're presenting there are the $4 that we currently have is already incorporated into those graphs.
Yeah, that would be the total fee.
Okay.
It would be the $8. So instead of 4, it would be replaced with the 8.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have to adopt the tier of increasing every year. We could adopt a one-time increase and then reevaluate it the next year. But if we adopted the fee schedule, this would be an option.
Yes.
But we wouldn't have to follow the fee schedule, or would we?
If you adopted the fee schedule, then you would have to take action to change the fee schedule because it would be adopted to automatically increase every year. So those would just be your options. Either consider it every year or adopt a fee schedule and then intervene when you feel you need to. Just options.
John?
I have questions.
You know, and I made this statement back when this was presented to the city council. We adopted this $4 tough about 12 years ago or 11 years ago. And it was brought up that we needed some, and we thought that was a comfortable place, but I wish we would have done more because our roads are now 10 years in worse condition. So we do need money. I don't know where else to get it from to fix our roads. Or we go back to gravel, which is nice too, I guess. Entertain a motion to go into a public hearing.
Make a motion to go into a public hearing.
I will second that.
You have a motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we need to state that Dave is gone, each one, or is that just a given? Okay. Okay, public, if you'd like to comment on the tough fees or road construction, road maintenance, we'd love to hear from you. Please state your name and your address, and we'll limit this to 3 minutes as well.
All right, I'll do my best. My name's Simon Post. I live at 301 West, 3925 North in Pleasant View. First things first, I'm here for this. My road is, never seen it resealed. I've lived here 10 years. I'm tired of weed trimming in the middle of the street to knock down where it is already.
What was your street again, please?
3925.
3925.
They have replaced patches of asphalt as it's buckled. I would say I'm disappointed that there's not more public here. This is a much bigger increase financially on families than what you're proposing with the property tax increase. I know we call this a fee, but it's a tax, right? We're just shifting the property tax burden to take care of the roads now to utility of driving your car. So be mindful of that. Mayor Gibson, I agree with you. I wish that the council would have taken the action 12 years ago to probably be more consistent with this. I've watched it go up in North Ogden over the years, and I'm like, no offense to our city or our maintenance, but a lot of our roads suck. Like Alberta is like Dodge City of like, so you don't hit that.
Hey, we have filled some of the potholes.
You have filled some and it's done all right.
It's a little better than.
Better than it was
than it
like
was.
3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
but I do actually support raising it. I do think you guys should just rip off the Band-Aid. It sucks. But like the roads are terrible. I've lived in a few areas in Weber County and I feel like we have the worst roads. But I would just be curious of like, I noticed that you want to create a utility fund. I'm kind of like, where have the tough funds been going before if they've not been earmarked for roads? Have they all been spent on roads?
Yes, they have.
And I think you guys as a council need to make sure if you do vote to approve this, I would prefer you don't hide behind an adopted fee schedule year over year because you're just raising taxes and people don't know. I think that's secretive. Just be open and transparent. We got to replace roads. We're raising money to do that and you have to pay. It's just what it is. So for what that's worth, like I said, I don't love it. Everybody's stretched thin right now. I do think it's a little tone deaf to do it at the same time as the property tax increase in the same year, but that's minimal. But yeah, I think what you guys are doing is great. I understand you have to operate within the budget you guys have. But I would also like to know how, and maybe it can be addressed, how are you planning, how are the roads categorized? I'm not arguing just for my street, but I'm also saying I've seen minimal maintenance on my road in the 10 years I've been here, and it's sad. So I'm just curious how they prioritize which roads get done and when are we doing Alberta? Because I drive that road every single day, and when you did the big stormwater across it, I'm like, oh, this is the year. They were just waiting to do that. So, but I do appreciate you guys, and one of the few people that I think watches your weekly broadcast on YouTube. So
Well, thank you.
also throw a little more money into the audio because you can't hear very well. And I do like to hear you, sir. So, but thank you guys for your service. I know it's a thankless job, but thank you. And yeah, those are my thoughts about the tough increase.
And again, we're not going to comment on everything, but Alberta, we have money right now for property acquisition to widen it. So there is some work being done in Alberta. It's on our radar. And I think we do a really good job. I hats off to our public works for managing what little money we have. We have several Class C road funds and a little bit of some of our things go into that. So they do that. And this will only be used for, as it has been for the last 12 years, for roads. We're creating this fund to, anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but this is only for roads and it can't be used anyplace else, which is nice that it's not a tax. Any other public comment? Thank you for your comment, by the way, everybody.
Russ Binion. I used to live over in Pleasant Meadows where we paid for our own roads, so I can appreciate the cost of roads. We just moved over to the west side of Pleasant View. I have to read my address because we just moved it. So it's 1628 west, 3125 north. It's a brand new road. I hate to say that, but we appreciate that.
Must be nice.
I guess the thing is, due to a physical abnormality in my spine, I have to go for a walk every single day. So I do 2 miles down the Pleasant View Drive. And I was not pleasantly surprised. I was mostly astounded at the number of heavy equipment that goes along that road, and I'm sure all the other roads, because there's a lot of concentration on excavation sites right in this area. They get in those trucks and they go to different spots in northern Utah, I suppose. And my only concern, I guess, is that I know that these construction companies donate to the city, to the parks, to North Ogden too. But do they really pay their fair share? Because I think some of these articulated dump trucks, I don't know, they're probably 50 tons. And I don't think these roads were ever designed, I don't know, but I don't think they were ever designed to hold that much weight on a continuous basis. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Thank you. You know, one thing that's interesting that I learned as a council person as well, it's hard to see some of these new roads being done before the old roads, but we want to try to maintain them in condition. So some of the chip seal and some of those things done on new roads, we're actually helping preserve those, which is very interesting. So any other comment? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go to public hearing.
Mayor, I motion we close public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Sarah, come back up, please. Any other comments from?
I'll throw a question out.
Sure.
Just related to the comment that was just made. I'm curious, on the commercial categories A through D, how do we compare on those fees that we charge to our neighboring cities and others?
So I looked at various cities and it's comparable. I think the most transparent, if you look at Provo City, you'll see similar fees. I think Far West just put some in. They're lower probably than Far West commercial fees. We looked at the percentage of the city. So the difference is in Pleasant View, we have a very concentrated residential zone and concentrated commercial zone. And so to divvy up the fee, we took the 81% of the roads that are serving the residential and said, okay, that amount of money we'll get from residents. And then the 20% of roads that were from the commercial entities, they're less commercial entities, but also less roads. And then divvy that up to the commercial entities. And really, there isn't one way of doing it. This was just the way that seemed to make sense with Pleasant View because of how it's organized. But the fees did end up looking similar to other cities.
Anybody else?
I don't really have questions, but I just want to make comments and just kind of put my thoughts out there. As we know, the roads are terrible. We get that complaint all the time from citizens. That was probably one of the among the number 3 things that people comment on in our city. And we just haven't had the funds to do it. So.
Do a great job of snowplow.
Yeah, we do. On those alligator backs, it's hard, right? So, but I think the thing I like about the tough fee is it is dedicated to the roads. It
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere else. Like it has to go to roads. So I really do like that. I also believe like chip sealing at 75 cents a square foot compared to reconstructing at $4 a square foot. If we can chip seal, we're going to gain 20 years on a road. Am I right on that?
Generally about 7 years at the most. It depends on the road and how much usage.
So a +7, but you expect a road to last 20? Where did the 20 come from last time?
If you don't do anything to the road from start to finish, we expect about 20 years. And you can extend it another 20 to 40 years by regular chip sealing.
That's what I'm saying. So you can
Yes.
extend it 20 more years by doing chip seal of 75 cents per square foot.
But per time you do it. So you'd probably spend $1.50 to $2 over the extra lifetime to continue the maintenance up to that 20-year mark.
So I think for me personally, I feel like it's responsible to spend the funds in prevention than spending more later to replace it. So I'll tell you, my temperature is to go somewhere in the middle here, like in the $17 range. The middle scenario two is where I'm coming in at for myself. So I think it's a year where we don't need a lot of property tax increase. And the roads are just so bad. I think that's where we need the funds here in the city. So those are my feelings.
You know, as I was running for mayor, I'll make one comment. Sorry, but that was one of the main things, as you talked about, top three residents that are frustrated with the potholes with the roads. And I truly didn't have an answer for that. Where to get that money? You can't just, you know, we have so much that we have. And again, I hats off to our public works for making what little we've have go a long way. And I want more neighborhoods to be able to see some of these things happening quicker, you know, and I think it's just, I don't know, I think we need to be held accountable, whatever you guys decide, which again, I'm glad that it's not me making that decision at this point. But remember that it is a big burden on the resident. I think you also need to make sure that that's clear. Whatever number you decide is times 12. And, you know, we've had $4. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but we do want to, I want to have some noticeable improvement quickly. Because it has been pushed, the can has been pushed down the road a long time.
Well, and our other options in the presentation here are bonding, which I don't want to do, property taxes, which doesn't necessarily put it towards, you know, the roads. And so the other options for me don't look good. I think the TUP is the best option presented before us. So anyway, I'll let the other council members weigh in, but that's where I'm at.
Yes, absolutely.
So just two questions to add to address one, the resident's question about how we prioritize roads, maybe just short condensed version of how we prioritize and why some of the older ones, because I live on one of the older ones, and so it's been years and years since my road has been chip sealed, and so a follow up to Councilmember Arrington's question of if my road is chip sealed, that it's so alligator crack sealed, can you still chip seal that, or do we have to rotomill it down to really, you know, make it lengthen the life of my road?
So in reality, there's probably 25 to 30% of the roads that are going to need more than a chip seal. Would you say that's correct, Tyson? And as far as a priority, and Tyson can speak to this as well, roads are not the only struggling utility in Pleasant View. And so we don't want to redo roads if we know there's a road widening or a sewer project or a water project. And unfortunately, there are a lot that are overlapping that way. However, a lot of times in the past, we've been trying to get enough money to rebuild the road and do the utility simultaneously, or use correct me if I'm wrong, Tyson, but sometimes we don't have money to do the road, so we can't do the utility. This might ease the burden a little bit in some cases.
Sometimes you're pushing out the road, you know, the road been failure essentially, but because of the deficits in the water utility or the storm water, if we know there's a project upcoming to reconstruct the road to that level and then come back 2 to 4 years later and tear it up to put in water main upgrades and services, just isn't cost effective. So,
and there's also prioritization of projects because of the use of them. If you're on a residential street and we have a main commercial corridor that's failing, it's much more exposure for the city than the residential, I would assume. So that plays into it, and just trying to maintain the good roads like the mayor was talking about. If a road has already failed, it's not going to fail any further. Like, we're going to have to do that project. So there are times that we're looking at the roads going, okay, we're at the last step, the last chance of getting this chip sealed before it fails. Let's chip seal this so we don't have to do the big project. Right now, it's spread so thin that it is just attacking the very worst of the problems. It's so underfunded that it's really hard to see the difference, because it is a Band-Aid here and a Band-Aid there.
as we go forward with this, I think we'll make a decision obviously here shortly, but I would like to see something. We do have some schedules and make this more public, when we're gonna do stuff and what we're gonna do, and, a 5-year plan or whatever that is, so that the residents can kind of see what those things look like. My road as well, it's been 31 years. Nothing's been done on that road. It's alligatored. You couldn't rotomill it. You just pick up chunks of asphalt. So, but there's only a few residents that live on that street. But I don't know, just something that we can have that plan. And I know Tyson, we about 10 years ago when we kind of started this, we did a study. I don't like studies necessarily, but we did one on, I think we're still utilizing some of that study, correct, Tyson? Or have we done one since? With the pass fail and all the roads that did we do it?
For the RSL value, yeah. So
So
it's been reevaluated, and that was part of putting this together.
Okay,
was
so-
gonna be about-
So those things are out there, and we've identified kind of the high priority, middle priority, and total failure roads. And even back then,
Yeah.
90% of them were in failure of some sort. So
So what I would suggest, if we want to have, right now, the data that we're going off of and the program that we're using is a little bit antiquated. So if we use some of the tough funds, there are better programs that would make it easier for us to be transparent and schedule the roads. We have some, it's something we could investigate is how, what portion of money do we want to use to make sure we're optimizing our maintenance plan. iWorks is not the best program out there right now, but something to consider, and we could look into it and present options so that we could have a better schedule. Evaluating the roads more often helps as well. And they're coming out with cheaper and cheaper ways with AI to evaluate the roads more often because they don't always decline in a linear fashion. So there are options there that we could present.
well, if we're asking the residents to help, which that's what we are. I mean, it is, I don't want to say a tax, but it's a fee that is put on everybody. And this is a horrible time, but if we have the buy-in with everybody, we need to be transparent and they need to know what we're doing. Because I don't want to pay something and then never have anything done, and that is the fear that I have anyway. So I would, Ann's talked about, what'd you say, 17? I'd like to kind of hear, before we make a motion necessarily, what's kind of the feel, where do you guys feel?
Just a thought real quick. Are we charging the same ERU fee to a resident who lives in the station versus somebody who just built a new house in Deer Crest? Are they both paying that same amount every month? Because to me, it's different. And there should be maybe I don't know if we can do a residential fee and somehow separate ERUs, or maybe based on the size of the home or something like that. If there's a bigger home, there's likely more cars there versus a townhome where you have one car basically. I don't know.
I don't think that's necessarily accurate because these townhomes have 2 to 3 cars just as much as I do at my.
Okay,
Just a thought, and they use the road I get what you're saying, the square footage of a home, but everybody drives on the road
Yeah.
is the same, whether or not they have a larger home versus a smaller home.
and that may not be that's not the only thing I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about socioeconomic factors here. And someone's budget may be very different depending on where they live in the city. That's just a fact and it's reality.
So along those lines, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but is the stations charged utility like everyone else, or is it like the stations
Yeah.
individually? You build the association.
Okay. So that changes things. So each resident or each unit in the station is not charged this fee individually, or they are?
Association is charged over the town.
Charged into the manager.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
There are several HOAs that are just one bill from the city for water
okay.
and sewer. And then so where the Benions used to live, that was a HOA down there at Pleasant Meadows. They didn't receive anything from the city. They received it from the association, correct?
Sean, I might have something that helps you because I looked into that. I was concerned about that specifically, but the ITE trip count analysis, there's only about a 10% difference. So it would be hard to justify because to Sarah's point, we have found that where it isn't drastically different as far as cars and usage. So it is something I considered, and I think
That's great. The other thought I have, if we increase this year, but we don't go the full amount and we increase again next year, do we have to do a brand new study, or do we just piggyback off of this study that was already done? What legally, what are we required to do there? Because you know the state law
Yeah.
continues to change on this.
I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure we only have to do the study once every 10 years. And because the study recommended a higher fee, as long as you're not going exponentially higher than the highest recommended fee, I wouldn't see a need. Is that correct, Brody?
Thank you.
So I would agree with Councilmember Farrington with Ann with scenario 2 at the $16.96.
Just to confirm, are we considering two things? One, the amount, but then is there any consideration about subsequent years and whether we put that on the schedule or we address this every year on the calendar, just to determine at that year, make a decision at that time? Is that correct? Are we making that decision as well?
Under this scenario, I think it would be, oh, no, this was the other one. The first one was just the one fee. This was going, starting at 8, 10, 12, going up.
So it's the schedule, that's the schedule.
Well, putting the schedule on still allows for the deduction and you can adjust the amounts in the subsequent
Right.
years. You don't have to keep on that same track.
The scenario that Mayor described at the beginning about 10 years ago and then never coming back to it because of whatever reasons, it feels like that we need to address that we need to have something that makes sure that we slow cook it rather than have it every 10 years do big jumps.
Well, in this 1696, I mean, that, it's $12 more than they're paying right now.
Right.
And that's a huge jump. And as it goes down through the other one, that, that gave that total over the course of, what was it?
If I understand what you explained, it was the same amount over a slow cook time, a schedule. Is that right?
No,
The same amount overall over time.
Uh-huh.
If you continue that $16 rate through 10 years, then you will have generated the same amount of money over 10 years as if you would have adopted this year the $14 rate, the lowest rate. The loss would be that the funds are coming later and there is a bit of time value of money with the roads. So the money earlier is more valuable than the money later because more preventative maintenance can be done.
more
But-
preventative maintenance can be done and also cost of goods
Yeah.
that continue to go up. So I think,
Okay.
anyway.
And it could be something that we could have automatically on the schedule every spring when we talk about budget to revisit, obviously that, but it's already adopted, it's there, and we can adjust as necessary.
That's a good question. Developers come into the city and they build the new roads, but they're using our roads to build it. And also the building permits, they're bringing the heavy trucks in there. Is there a way you can attach a fee onto a building permit or onto a development for use of the roads while they're building?
I think currently, don't we have some sort of reparations that they need to make for damages that are caused to the roads to access their development? I don't do the development side of engineering, so I'd have to ask Dana.
If they're digging it up to subdivide to get their utilities, but nothing like just
Nothing for the access, and that does seem to be a
Access,
problem, so
thank
it's something we can look into legally if there's something we can do to make sure that is something we could look into.
Yeah, not in the same way that Tufts doing it, like
It-
your
it would be
impact
separate,
fees
yeah.
are just, I don't think they're doing it the same way Tufts would be.
So is it, I mean, there has to, an impact fee is what that house or that subdivision does impacts our city with parks and roads and everything. So it seems like there should be or would be some impact.
The transportation impact fee on it, but that's for the use of it through its lifetime. But this is just like, within a year or something, they're falling up down our roads.
Yeah,
They're hitting every road. So that was just the question.
yeah, that might be something I can see that.
Yeah,
being
something we
something
could
down the
look
road.
into in the future. Right now, she's correct. The transportation fee is for the lifetime of the system. That impact fee study does not include the temporary damage from construction.
Anyway, any other comments, questions? kind of know where it is. We can entertain a motion and see where that goes.
Anything more for me?
I think you're good. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
So in the last time we discussed this, I said I was ready to go to $8, double it, and then $4 the next year and $4 the next year until we get to that point. And I understand what Sarah said. Over time, we lose a lot of funding if we don't, as was said, rip off the Band-Aid and do it now and do the big increase, which I wish we would have done for the last 10 years.
Yes.
And that hurts. And you three may be the votes that get to where you want to go. I don't know where I'm at yet. So I'd love to hear from where everybody else is.
If you're ready, I'll go ahead and. Okay. I'm not sure, it doesn't give the guidance on how to do that, but Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to increase the transportation utility fee to scenario 2. As presented by Jones and Associates.
Was that 16,
I'm gonna go down to that one to make sure we're all.
1693?
1696.
Residential would be
Mhm.
1696, and then it goes through the various commercial categories. And adopt the recommended fee schedule and to be revisited every spring during budget season.
And just to make this clear, this, it's not plus the 4, this includes,
four.
including,
Yes,
so this would be the new residential
12 more,
tough fee, 1696.
1296.
That column, and you want, I didn't put it.
Scenario 2. And adopt the recommended fee schedule with scenario 2. With also the comments of revisiting this every spring with, during budget season to make sure that if we need to make any adjustments as necessary.
We have a motion on the table. I have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? On favor? Oh, excuse me. Dang it.
So this,
Sorry, Dana. One of these days I'll get it right. Okay, we have a roll call. We're gonna go with Johnny.
Does it have it? Oh, sorry.
in your packets, it says exhibit A, and I put the scenario where it was the range going up, so.
So do I need to state ordinance 2026-12?
With a change of exhibit, because the exhibit's incorrect. I mean,
With
it
the
was
change
this.
of the exhibit, that
the-
thing
The scenario 2.
to scenario 2. Pardon me, and everything else I said.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote because it is an ordinance. Sorry. I don't know why I can't get these things straight. In 3 years, I'll get them straight. Johnny,
Yes.
Sean,
No.
Ann,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Dave is gone. So that's 3-1. That motion passes. Thank you. All right. Sarah, item number 5, tough appeal process.
I will combine the 5 and 6 in my presentation. These are requirements that the state now specifies directly for tough fees. We have to establish an appeals process. The city already has an appeals process, so I just inserted language for a tough appeal to state that they need to have some sort of traffic count or verification in their appeals process so that we can evaluate it. So that's all that's being done for the updated appeals process. And, well, do you want to do them separately, or do you want me to just
We
present?
will do them separately, but if you'd like to address them both, we can.
I'll address them both and you can discuss them separately. And then we have a transportation fund that the city was using for the transportation utility fee before, but it did include special transportation funds from the state specifically. This fund will only be for the tough funds. It's just to meet state criteria. They want all the tough fees that are collected to go into one single fund and not be combined with other transportation specific funds. That's all that's being addressed in 5 and 6. These are resolutions, not by ordinance. They're just a resolution that this is what the city will be doing or updating.
Okay, so let's tackle number 5 first, the tough appeal process.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 2026-J, which is to update the existing appeals process to include specific information regarding appeals to the transportation utility fee.
Do we have a motion?
I'll second it.
The second by Johnny. Okay, this is also reference resolution 2026-J. This is a roll call. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Arrington,
Yes.
Ferry.
Yes.
And just to note, Dave is gone and Sarah had to leave with the family matter. So that passes 3-0. Okay. Item number 6. I think this is a great thing. We'll definitely put it in the right account and only use it for roads. So we've heard from Sarah on that. Creation of a transportation utility fund. Any other questions or comments from Sarah on that? Okay, and this will also be resolution 2026-K. I'd entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Move to approve resolution 2026-K.
Okay, we have a
I'll second it.
motion and a second. And this will be Ferry,
Yes.
Arrington,
Yes.
and Wilkinson.
Yes.
Again with Yuri and Marriott absent. Okay. Wonderful. Oh, my goodness. Next one. Huge. This is something that I don't know the answer to, as well as roads, e-bikes. Discussion and possible action to adopt regulations for electric bicycles or motorcycles. Motor-driven cycles and related devices, scooters, and those types of things. This is ordinance 2026-13. Chief Talbot, bring on the discussion.
All right, so you have before you the e-bike ordinance. I don't know how long ago, it's a couple months ago, we met, we discussed this growing issue with e-bikes and electric scooters and that throughout our city. I will preface my comments today with that problem is increasingly growing. But we, so if you remember, the mayor asked me to put together an ordinance so that we could have some teeth to enforce these. And the purpose behind all of this, and we've talked a lot about this. Every conversation I've had with this with the mayor or Andrea or the officers is, because I've asked a lot of them for their input and what they're seeing out and about. It really is, we want to put something together to help people be able to enjoy our city and enjoy the community, but we need to be safe too. And the safety is what's kind of taken a back seat to a lot of this. So I'll Mayor, if you want, I'll just kind of go through it, through this ordinance real quick, and then we can talk about it. So if you look here, so I want to also mention there's a new state law that helps a lot with a lot of this. Requires anybody, I think it's under 21, to wear a helmet. Because we had discussed the helmet thing a lot, if we wanted to have everybody wear helmets. So the state law took care of a lot of that stuff for us. Something that, so if you look here, it says, the purpose of it is to promote public safety, to protect pedestrians and roadway users. I would say a lot of the calls that we get on this is people trying to use the walkways and pathways, and kids come flying by and almost run into them, or and so I get a lot of calls on that. And then the 3 is establish reasonable regulations consistent with state law, prevent unsafe and reckless operation of electric bikes and motor-driven cycles, and then provide clear and enforceable local standards. The state law does read that gives us authority to basically come up with an ordinance that we see fit for our if you go down to definitions, there's all the definitions there. I'm sure you've had a chance to read them. The couple that I wanted to point out is that I've had questions on. So, I got some questions on city pathway, what that means. The sidewalk is considered a pathway. It's not considered the road. I had a conversation with someone that was pretty sure that the sidewalk was part of the roadway, and it's not. The sidewalk would be considered a pathway. And then reckless operation, the definition that we used was means operation of any device in a manner that endangers persons or property. And then I also put in there segways, e-bikes, powered scooters. I want this ordinance to apply to them as well. I've seen some of them little scooters they stand on, aren't necessarily a bike, but they go pretty fast as well. So, all right, so electric bicycle regulations. I did find that I think you Googled it last time. You can change the class of the bike while you're riding it right then. And so I wanted to put in there, the general rule is that this applies to class 3 bikes, and they shouldn't be on any pathway regardless, unless it's authorized for that pathway. I mean, they can go upwards of 30 miles an hour. I just think supervised or not, that's too fast on our sidewalks. So, the age requirements, I think, we put in there, no person under 16 can operate a class 3 bike. Helmet requirement, they have to be anybody under 18. No unsafe speeds. And then most all of it says, it should be, will enforce the Utah law. Let's see. Okay, so motor driven cycles on 10.3440. Prohibited areas, I put motor driven cycles shall not be operated on pathways or sidewalks. It says, street operations, the cycles may be operated only in compliant with Utah requirements. Age restrictions, operators must be at least 16 years of age unless they're supervised. And minors under 14, supervision is required. No person under 14 years of age shall operate an electric bicycle, motor driven cycle, segway, e-bike, or scooter unless under the direct supervision of a legal parent or guardian. So I want to talk about that section there real quick. And then E is just talking about any parent, parents can't give their kids permission to go and violate the law, or they're subject to the consequences of it as well. And this is where I want to get kind of the council's input on prohibited areas. Where do we want to prohibit them completely? Where do we want them to be supervised? I've gone back and forth. I've had different input, different thoughts, different opinions on this. I think the mayor and I had a discussion, and I said, you have your 4 grandkids over. You want to take them for a bike ride? One has a little e-bike. Are you going to leave him home? So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts and input on that. Where do we want to restrict them? How much do we want to restrict them? I personally, my recommendation, I like the idea of, we don't have problems when they're supervised. We don't seem to have very many problems when the kids are supervised. So.
And by defining supervised, are you talking about there's an adult present?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me make this a quick comment here, because this is where I have trouble. And this is one reason why I pulled it off the agenda for last time, other than we were here till 11, 12 o'clock, but pedal bicycles are being phased out. They don't exist, really. And these scooters, electric bikes, I mean, that's how kids go to friends' houses. That's how kids go to church. I don't know if they go to school, but that's where they go. And it is, so the other day I came up, I was just in North Ogden coming along, the old, lawn or the sod farm road that comes between 2700 and Pleasant View Drive. And 3 kids came zooming down the path right in front of me. I was stopped, and they were going fast. It wasn't a safe, and they pulled out on the Pleasant View Drive. And so I let them pass and they were just zipping in and out. And as I passed by them, they were zipping in and out on both sides of the street. And I wanted to take a video, but I don't want to take a video while I'm driving, chief. But they were unsafe. And now, you know, a bicycle back 10, 12, 20 years ago, kids on bikes would have done the same thing, but they were going slower. They're pedaling. So I think it's the speed at which they go. I don't mind a bicycle or something being on the path in front of my house, but when they zoom past older people trying to enjoy the path and don't care, that's a problem. But I want kids to be able to have fun,
Right.
you know, and ride. And so I'm very conflicted as to what we do here, because we want to give teeth where it's needed when the officers see this behavior. But I don't want kids, I want kids to be able to go to their friend's house or do something. When I was a kid back in the dark ages, you know, we operated a bike as if it were a car. We stayed on the right side. We used turned hand signals. You know, we were taught that in bike safety.
Yeah.
Some of you guys are younger than me. I think everybody's younger than me here. Even Laurie's younger than me. But, you know, those things, it was just required that you didn't ride on the sidewalk? Really? Because that was for walking. And so it's just, I don't want to make a harsh decision here. Supervision is definitely a thing, but kids aren't going to be riding with their parents. They're going to be out having fun. I saw 3 kids today as I left my house. They were behaving. They were on scooters and they were just cruising along, and there were some walkers, and as they came up to the walkers, they did go to the side and went a little bit slower, then they zoomed right back up. And I saw them go into Maverick. By the time I got there, they'd gone as fast as I did. I was stopped at the road, and I don't know exactly how they come, but I saw them going into Maverick. So anyway.
I've got a lot of opinions on this one, so bear with me.
Go ahead.
I got notes and
Yeah.
highlighters, and here we go. So hang
Yeah.
tight with me, okay?
Yeah.
So class 1 and class 2 are motorcycle or just e-bikes that can go under 20 miles per hour. And then class 3, they can go up to, like we said, 30 miles an hour. So we kind of have different definitions on e-bikes. And the class 3 really is a motorized, like consider it like a motorcycle,
But
right?
is that true? Is the class, because, you know, as it has a motor,
But you have to, it's
is
pedal assist, right? So like,
okay, pedal assist, other than if it's
Yeah,
a motor?
that new bill changed it to where it doesn't matter what size or how fast you can go. If it's not pedal assisted, it's a motorcycle.
it's a motorcycle. So class 3 is basically a motorcycle. So the class 3 ones, I don't think those should be on the path at all, right? But so here's an idea I have under speed and operation. No person shall operate an electric bicycle instead of at unsafe speeds. I think we say 15 miles per hour max on multi-use paths, walking speed when pedestrians are present, and yield to pedestrians. So that way, if you do have your grandkids or something, you can go on the path, but if there's someone there, you have to slow down to their walking speed. You can't just go zooming past them, is my thought. So I'm just throwing out thoughts here, but,
How are we gonna enforce that?
And then I just don't. It's a great thought. I don't know that our radars would like pick up an e-bike to prove how fast they're going.
they pick up my bike when I go past the little radar sign thing. Yeah.
It should look to the side.
No, oh, for sure I am. Absolutely. So just some other thoughts here, if you don't mind me backing up just a little bit. I kind of wonder if we should put, so on item A, we say less than 750 watts and classified consistent with Utah code. I think we should put in like electric bicycles shall be classified and regulated consistent to Utah code 41-6A-102 and 41-6A1115.5, including class 1, 2, 3. designations. I just think that'll clean it up. So that, like, if they don't know, they refer back to the Utah code, right? On those is a thought. And then I think gas motor or non-compliant electric motor over 20 miles per hour without pedaling on that number B would just help them like clarify. So do you follow me on that? So motor driven cycle or motorized bicycle means any bicycle, mini bike or similar vehicle powered by a gas motor or non-compliant electric motor over 20 miles per hour without pedaling. I just want to add that to the end. And then under C, under exclusion of disability mobility devices, just at the end, all I want to put is disability mobility devices under ADA guidance. So one thing we haven't addressed in here is parks. Like we talk about city pathways, but we don't say anything about parks. I'd like to put parks in here too. So I don't know, like, I know we have city pathway. That doesn't make sense to put under park there because pathway doesn't, but I think we even add like
Didn't
a,
we pass something on parks?
And the parks has their own, but we can, I mean, I can add something in here. I'll just make sure it doesn't contradict other part of
the
our
other one.
code.
So just add a park, like you could bump down F and G and make park F or whatever, you know, was a thought, but, under reckless operation, I was wondering if we could just, my idea was reckless operation means operation of any device with willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property, including excessive speed, unsafe weaving, failure to yield, stunts, or operation likely to endanger others. Like, cause when you see someone weaving like that, you know, that is endangering. You can enforce that kind of stuff, right?
Gonna just pipe up here, this is willful and wanton are very different than reckless. Legally, to enforce that, and what that goes, those are different.
That's why you're here. So what do you think on that?
I think a lot of things. And actually, what I would just say, I think your discussion is really good. And, the way I see it, you know, one is nobody knows what to do here. Everyone's trying to figure it out. So there isn't a good law that we could copy. I would actually encourage the council to keep discussing and then give us kind of some direction and let us tailor craft it a little bit more. Because, like, I think we can change the description of reckless operation a little bit to make it a little stronger. But,
Yeah.
Sorry, willful and want to get that,
Those are like buzzwords for attorneys. Okay, I got you. 10-4.
But
For-
yeah, because this is gonna be a process, and I think Stetson and I probably need to sit down and figure out how to practice the best we can, because ultimately, like, as we go about, talking about what is the conduct we want to prohibit, and what is the conduct we want to allow, that's what we have to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
and that was kind of part of my intent. You know, Lori and I talked about it. We put on there to adopt it if we wanted. I kind of intended for us to probably more have a discussion of what direction we want to go. Just because as I was putting this together, there's so much to it. And you know, you really get writing things down and you want to have it clear enough that you have some teeth and you're clear with the residents of what we want, but at the same time, you know, I've said, you got to remember the purpose. I think the purpose is safety. And, you know, I don't necessarily want the officers stopping little Johnny riding 2 houses down to his friend's house. And
Yeah.
his mom just sent him down there and happens to be an officer drive by and come here, you know?
Yeah.
So, but
On the like motorized bicycles, or I mean motorized, like basically motorcycles, even though they're like mini bikes or class 3s, don't they have to have like license and insured to be on the road, stuff like that? If it's like a motorcycle?
I think they do.
And do they have to take like a course or something to do that? Some kind of a class?
Yeah, so the state, the new law says, I think it's under 16, they have to either be supervised by a parent or they have to take that classification course. My problem with that was I don't think taking the classification course or whatever they have is going to stop the problem we have here. The problem we have here is 10 or 15 kids or even 5 kids get together and they drive reckless through the city. I think that's the problem that we are having here in Pleasant View. Maybe not. I very rarely get calls of one kid. Like I very rarely have a voicemail of somebody saying, there was one kid driving down the road by himself on his e-bike that was causing a problem. Most all the time, it's a group of kids hogging up the pathway or hogging up the road or driving reckless or, and so. Anyways.
Yeah. So I just think that, yeah, I think that endorsement, if it's gonna be considered a motorcycle, that's something we might wanna look at.
Yeah.
The last thing I had is just like the helmet requirements. So if they are, do they have to have like that CPSC approved helmet if they're doing like a motorcycle, like the big old helmet?
Yeah,
And I think it's under age 21.
yeah, and it's 41-6A-15. It requires anyone under 21 to, they have to have a helmet that complies with all those specifications. That's a state law, so.
So I think, I don't know if we want to just clarify that between the two,
Yeah.
they just can't wear a bike helmet if they're going 30 miles an hour plus. And then I didn't know on like some of the like costs and fees, if we're talking about impounding and stuff, do we already have like a fee schedule or a fine schedule for impoundment? No. And
No,
then,
because that's something also that I kind of wanted to get the input from the council on, like, how do we want to handle the impound side of this? I mean, some of these things, I talked to the mayor today. Some of these things are worth upwards of $4,000 or $5,000, and do we want to impound on what would it be, an infraction and store a $5,000 bike in our little storage compound, that's.
also like
So I
what
did
kind of
talk to
message you
our-
want to send? I mean, if you
But I
take it
did-
away.
So I did talk to our tow, the company we tow with that were contracted, and he's willing to impound them in his yard if we decide to go that route. I think I put in there so the cost would be basically what it costs them to get out of
There,
it.
okay. Then my last thing, sorry, I've taken a long time and been everywhere, but just, that citation, do we have like a juvenile citation process? We do already have that in
Yeah.
place. Okay, didn't know anything about that.
Yeah. Don't be sorry, this is why, this is what we need, is discussion on it.
No, this is a hard one, but I agree. I think I like what you're saying is like, we just take where the pain points are and then try and make it adapt, but we gotta consider the Utah law too. And I think you're exactly right. It's that the people are being run off their sidewalks and the pathway by bikes that are going too fast and scooters. So, but I mean, you're right. We don't want the kids to feel like they can't ever hop on a scooter or a bike. Like we want to encourage that, but it can't be against the safety of the other residents. So I like where we're going. That's all I got, man.
I see it's good. Many of the similar concerns.
Take a recess or?
Let me get a drink.
It sounds like that more of the problem exists when it is gang together, that there's several, that's where a lot of the problem is coming. Is that right? I had one clarifying question too. Is it possible you can check the speed of these bikes? You mentioned you don't know for sure, but it feels like that would be an important thing if we're going to be checking speeds and have to, if the technology doesn't exist to check the speed.
Yeah, I mean, your radar can pick them up. I think when you're riding down the road and it picks up your bike, you're probably the only one coming. And so that's why I would give you right now, all of our radars and stuff are installed in our trucks. So it'd be hard to get it over on the sidewalk and check a kid coming down and, hey, but they make handheld radars and stuff. We can start looking at.
That would be that's another level then of having to, if speed is one of the reasons that you can get a ticket for it, then we'd want to make sure we can actually do that, right? And then I love the idea of the filtering with the legal side of this, just to make sure it's a double check, right?
Sean?
I think everyone has covered any comments I have.
I think, again, I've been conflicted with this whole thing. We want kids to be able to be mobile. We want to have them have fun. But I would hate to have the next report come in that a kid got hit, you know, on a bike or a e-bike or whatever, or took somebody out. I think, I don't know. And so definitely, with our attorney's comments and with the amount of writing that Ann's done on her page, I think let's, I'd possibly entertain a motion to put this off for further discussion. And if that's how you feel, I don't think we're ready to do anything yet. There's a lot of work needs to be done.
But do you have enough direction to, do you know which way to go?
So, I think so. I just, a couple of questions. So do we want to have the ability to impound them? That's gonna be something that we'll need to address in this, right?
I vote yes, I think we should.
What are the teeth otherwise? What is it that,
Not really much. I mean,
a
hopefully you
fee?
can get a hold of a parent or somebody to come get them or something like that. I kind of would like to have the ability to do it if we need to. But obviously I would probably encourage the officers not to, you know. But
I just don't want to make an ordinance that we don't enforce, just to have it be on the books, so. But I also want to make sense, and that's where I just don't know. But anyway, I would entertain the motion to
so are we
Any-
comfortable with
put it
the
off.
with having e-bikes on our paths?
Supervised.
Okay. Okay, cause I know I had a conversation with Sarah and she was kind of along the lines of not on them at all. And I just, that would be a really tough one, especially I think in 5 years, that's all there is.
Mhm.
Well, Pleasant View Drive is a perfect example. There's no shoulder on Pleasant View Drive. And Ann, I'm sure she's ridden her bike. She takes that into her life in her hands as you ride your bike along Pleasant View Drive.
It's more the alligator cracks though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Do we have a speed limit on the pathway?
I don't think so.
That's a good idea.
Is that something that we do?
Yeah.
Maybe on the pathway you're going.
and how do you enforce it? How do you
Well,
enforce that?
Yeah, that's a good question. But if you post it, at least people are aware.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing on the road. How do you enforce it? Unless you're there.
It's true.
So Stetson, do you think you can get like a gun that you can clock, stuff
Yeah.
like that?
How often would that be utilized really? I mean, do the officers see it or is it more the residents calling in complaining?
Probably more of the residents calling it. To be honest, and I don't get a lot of calls of necessarily how fast they're going. Most of the calls I get is just, hey, there's kids driving reckless, swerving, going here, not yielding to pedestrians. I was walking my dog and they about ran my dog over, or they ran over my leash, which was between me and my dog, and didn't even slow down. And it's not really that they call and say, hey, they went by really fast. It's most of the time they're actually cutting people off or about running into them or something like that, so.
So, you know, I think, again, Stetson's done a great job and they'll continue to do a good job, but I think education is gonna be a big part of this. We put this out there in our PV minute to say, listen,
Yeah,
this
work
is
on
a
this.
new changing world. And it's electric. And we need to have parental support so that, you know, that they come and pick them up and it's not just we're beating up on a kid, you know, or not beating up, but picking on a kid just because he's out having fun with his friends, you know, and really, I don't know, so we definitely need the parents buy-in this, no matter what
Yeah,
happens.
One of the biggest things that I've noticed is a lot of the kids that we stop, you know, our officers have been able to stop for reckless or stuff like that. One, but they're running from them all the time. They
I think we
take
need to
off,
get you one.
run from them. And then, you know, we stopped several of them from a long ways away from Pleasantville. Like, you know, I think I told somebody, one of our officers stopped a group of them that came from clear up the top of North Ogden over by the arena over there. Like, that's a long ways to ride your e-bike after school. But a lot of the problems that we're encountering are kids, not necessarily residents to Pleasant View, that are coming in from other places, and so. That would also be one of the purposes of getting an ordinance, so we have teeth, so that they'll go to another city instead of Pleasant View.
Mhm.
A question with that too. Do we have some feature in our community that they like to go ride on once they get together? Like, is there a off-roading up at the top here in the open area or
City parks.
Park, that's where we hear most of it, is
really
a lot of them go that, there's a retention basin down here that they go
right through?
right around in.
Interesting.
Well, do you have enough info if we table it that you can go back and work it with some things? Is that, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I just make one more comment along the lines of what Mayor was saying. I think it's answering the who, what, where, when, how questions, and then the public can connect with that. And if you can focus on that, I think that will help. We can then communicate that once we come up with an ordinance of defining this type of a new rule or rule that we implement. Just very basic, who can do it, what, where, when, how, just go down that list. So I think that might be helpful to help define, and it'll help your 1 minute Pleasant View.
Yeah, it will. Okay, cool. I'd like to make a motion that we table this item number 7 on e-bikes and allow Chief Talbot to take some of our suggestions and incorporate them.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item number 8. This is one that I'll present today. This was passed by Brody and Wilson.
before we get too far.
Oh.
I actually have been emailing back and forth with the developers today. I don't think we want to move forward currently. They actually sent us back saying they would only accept their version of this draft, not
Okay.
our version,
All right.
and
Okay, we will not.
still need time to negotiate it. I'll say it
Okay,
that way.
all right.
So do we need a table or do we
Okay,
need to?
so we'll table this then on recommendation of our attorney.
The official
Yeah,
motion
yeah,
on that?
Please.
I recommend that we, at this time, table item number 8, the amendment to develop the amended development agreement with Woodsonia Far West LLC.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Laurie, item number 9, property tax impact schedule.
Yeah, I'm just bringing this one up again. It's on the agenda. We attached having our code updated for 50,000. Andrew's done more research on it. We can do it with the complications. We're about $21,000 now.
Awesome.
But then we also got the idea that we need a planner. And how do you want to fund the planner? Do you want to adapt it to the taxes? I talked to the state tax commission just to see if we can amend this. The impact fee, this is yes, we can amend it. So this is just for you guys not to decide tonight, but think about, because Steve would like to get going on the complication of the ordinances, would like to hire a planner. So how do we want to fund it? Do we take it out of general fund balance, or do you raise taxes? So that's for you guys to think about. That's the only thing on this item, just think about it.
Have any questions on those two things? I really think we need our codes updated, and I was very pleasantly surprised with the latest bid that Andrew was able to get, which was half what we kind of thought.
Yeah.
And it really was comprehensive in going forward and tying the new ordinances with the old ordinances and adjusting them and just, again, who knows how effective it's going to be, but it's a start, it's something we wanted for a long time. And then, as I've talked to most of you, I want to hire a planner, full-time planner that actually has some planning experience, and it's a big chunk. So anyway, I don't think we need to do any more on that unless you have any questions. Good?
Good.
Good.
Okay, the next one's just the budget workshop. This is just pretty much for you guys to see if you've looked at it. If there's any more questions or comments you would like. I've been getting other comments back from staff and different people on, hey, we need to do this on the budget or whatever. Some of them are like incorporate a planner. And there were some changes maybe to the fee schedule that we'll still have to work through. on planning. Maybe if we hire a planner, we need to up the fees or cover some costs here. And there was a duplicate of that GovWell, so that reduced the budget a little bit. I have that in there twice. So just little things like that, that will be updated and bringing back to you guys. But do you guys have anything that you think we are missing or want to see or in the budget? But there will be a public hearing next, June 9th.
Thank you for coming.
So we've talked about this before, and I don't know if there's a good answer to it, but we've just talked about when we apply for ramp grants, we usually have the money sitting there to do the match. And that's just like, that's the most effective way to, just to match it. But I don't know if there's a way that we can dedicate those funds to like a future ramp allocation type thing.
You do have the park fund, and pretty much right now it is wiped out. For any future, plans. You got the city park, a new city park in there, and infrastructure for it. We do have just like easy ramp grants, population grants, those are in there. But the big ones we don't have right now.
Yeah.
That's something we did put Steve's request in it, and I think we moved that out 2 years for that exercise ad. So we have a few things like that. We'll have to ask for a grant on that. So.
I guess just being prepared when those opportunities come.
That was part of that impact fee, so we did ask for that money to update the capital plan, because if we identify the deficiencies in the parks as the city sees them, and then we could better allocate funding for all of those in the future, so then you could plan that out in that capital facilities, update the impact fees, so we could start rebuilding the balance to meet that, and that is projected for next year.
Okay.
And we are in negotiations with Ben Lomond Cemetery to address some of the issues that we've talked about, owning and whatnot. So I don't think that's going to be settled before July, but
Yeah.
we're talking with their board. I'm talking with their board to try to see what they can do if we put it out over a couple of years or something, just to work that out so that they possibly can own it outright. I need to weigh that, and maybe I'll talk to Brody a little bit about what's best for the city. So anyway, because that's where a lot of the money went from the parks, is to trade that money for that. So.
Okay.
You've only had to do two corrections to me today, so we're doing better. Whew. Okay, anything else? Any other questions on the budget?
Just remind again the date, so 2 weeks from now.
We're gonna have a public hearing on June 9th, on the budget.
Okay.
And when
the
does-
date before,
That's what I was
I'll
gonna
probably get the real certified tax rate, and so we can kind of guess for what's happening, and how it's gonna affect us.
We're
this-
praying for some good news, right?
Yes, yes. And the next item is to set a public hearing and to hold a truth and taxation public hearing. And that will be in August, but you can't have it the same day as any other entity within our taxing group.
So if we set ours first?
So, memo. So I could put down a couple days here, and then I don't know if it can be contingent on Weaver County correcting anything that we've done. If they say, hey, somebody else has the mistake, you can't have it, or even an hour later, or just something different. So we have our normal, city council meeting on August 11th, and we can't have it the same day as our meeting. So, and if you do Tuesdays, we can do August 4th, the 18th, or the 25th. And it has to be 6 o'clock or later. So any of those dates of preference, and I'll see if that works, and if not, we'll get with the county and see if. they
What?
can
Yeah,
push it.
why don't we just jump in on the soonest one and then we have some backup dates?
August 4th, 6th. And if something, if she changes it, you want to move to the next one, the 18th. Okay, so that's the first one. You guys want to make motions to set those, then I'll let the council know tomorrow.
Do we already make a motion for the June 9th public hearing? That's already,
I had to
we
do
already
that
did
last-
that. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we set the public hearing for the truth in taxation for August 4th at 6 o'clock. If there's a conflict, then we consider the August 18th. If there's a conflict, then we'll consider August 25th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so let it be written. All right, budget amendments. This will be public hearing as well. Discussion of possible action to amend the 2025-2026 fiscal year budgets. Hopefully that's Laurie again.
There are 3 items on here. The first one has to deal with the decant facility. We are going out to bid on it and we'll get those bids back, but these are just to get the money in the budget, so we know that they're secure funds. So the request is to transfer $350,000 from the general fund to the stormwater fund, $700,000 from the equipment fund to the stormwater. And then the road fund, the water, the sewer, and the solid waste will each contribute. The road 41,000 and the other 350,000 towards the decant project. That's the first item. The second one is to increase the capital outlay budget to purchase some garbage cans this year. They're low and we need to purchase them now and get going on them. So that's for $25,775. And the last one is to increase the legislative budget if you guys wanted to start working on that codification this year for $21,000. But that goes along with the property tax bill too, if you want to get started now or.
So I thought we were gonna put that off.
You want to put that one?
What,
That was the updated municipal codes and the codification goes together.
yeah, because I didn't think we could get it all put together before July. Did you think we can?
Well, that's moving the budget to this year, so.
Well, okay.
It's not in there.
But, okay, do we think we can work on it this year? Cause that's what I don't know, and we can do it, but I think that's gonna be a after July deal.
Yeah,
Don't you think? I mean,
it probably is. I don't know if they need the money up front. Andrea's been talking to them.
they needed like $4,000 or something like that to start, but
But we can put the money in there and then whatever's not.
we just roll it over. Okay.
So just depending on your timeframes when you want to start something.
I'd like to start it. That's what I wanted her, Andrea, to do before she left. There's so much to do. I mean, I really want to get going, but.
And Mike's here. You want to ask any questions on the.
I got a question for you, Mike. We're talking about maybe discontinuing recycling if it's, I mean, we've kind of thrown that around. We haven't like discussed it in depth, but how many blue cans are we ordering? And like, is that something we should look at before we actually order?
I don't think we're ordering any blue cans, or these are just the Schaefer grade
Well, they'd be the blue cans as
as
well.
well.
I haven't talked much about anything on the recycling program on going away. I know it's been discussed. I guess
How
I
many
have-
of this 25,000 is for the regular can,
So for that, it'll be 195 blue and then 208 black.
is that enough? Is there enough difference? I mean, is it 50-50? What, well, I guess not 50-50, but you think the black cans are the ones that are the most, is it like,
Yeah, so that's just to mostly get us started. I think we're down to like 12 black cans right now, and then we probably have 30 blue cans. This would just get us the start for this year to get them start rolling out, because we know we're gonna have a significant calls in for both blue and black.
so this is a little bit off topic? Anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the transfer station.
Yeah, so I mean, let's not talk about it right now, but do we have a direction?
Yes. that's what
Okay.
we do.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, go
Can I
ahead.
ask a
sorry.
related question to this? If we did discontinue the recycle program, could we use the blue cans for our trash?
Yeah. My proposal would be every other week with just dump 2. So we'll dump a black and a blue, just the same, just like a normal recycle, but it'd just be a one truck.
We can still use the blue
We'll still use the blue can. This is it'll
As
be
trash?
an extra can, yeah.
Just an extra can?
I am meeting with Republic tomorrow. And we'll discuss some of the recycling options and some of the, so some of this will, I don't want to comment on recycling at this point, but I don't want to have too many blue ones, but let's get enough to fix what we've got and do the gray, you know, the majority of the gray, whatever the amount is, I think they're the same price, aren't they?
Prices?
Yeah, they're the same price. I guess I would want direction on how
Yeah.
many you.
I mean, how many do we need right now? I mean, how many are broken?
I
idea.
don't have a good number of how many are broken, so I've broke down since we've had iWorks since 2020. We have replaced 94 blue, but that's only going back to very late 2023, so that's only been numbers for 3 years. For
So
the,
how many blue did you say this time?
so 98. Oh, so do you mean order?
Yeah, how many
We're gonna order, I have 195.
195, and how many gray? Or is it black?
It'll be black, but it's 208.
208. I would say 150 blue or something, and the rest in black. I don't know. Or what do you think, Tyson?
Just that a lot of the trigger to this was the blue cans. Just so they're the ones hitting the 20-year mark as
So
a
do you
city
think we
as a
have,
whole.
do we have 200 that are bad now? That's why I'm asking.
I would
replace it?
presume we probably
All
have
right,
close to.
leave it as is then.
And if
We're
you're
gonna have
phasing them out, that process I would assume would take some time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There'd be other parts you would need to be evaluated. So if you're gonna incorporate them into an every other week schedule, like North Ogden, it works functionally to
Keep
whether
it.
they're blue or black, so.
All right, sorry. Yeah, just go as you've,
Go.
as you've ordered for now. And I don't know, it all depends on costs. I want to recycle, but if it's gonna cost us more, then I don't want to do it. I think a lot of it goes dumped anyway, so we'll talk about that later. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Larry, have we covered everything? We'll keep that 21,000 in there, and if we can do it earlier, yahoo.
No, we'll move it next year.
Yeah. Because we only have one more meeting really before, I just don't think we're gonna get to that by the 9th, so. And I won't be here for that, by the way. Ann is gonna be our mayor. Huh?
Then I can mess up the roll call.
Oh,
vote
yeah,
and
yeah,
have Brody-
please. And don't have her do it perfectly.
Just tell him it was perfect.
All right.
You need a
Yeah, it's
Motion.
The resolution 2026-M.
make a motion that we adopt resolution 2026-M as presented by Laurie.
Second. We have a motion, a second, all in favor, roll call, excuse me, I knew that, I'm looking right at it. Ferry,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2 absent. Thank you very much. Okay, do we need to talk about 13 at all? Everybody good with the cans? Kind of discuss
Just
that.
ask one question there. If somebody calls in right now, we're no longer charging, is that correct?
We're charging, but we're telling them that there's no decision yet. We were just waiting for the new fiscal year, whatever.
Okay,
Because it is in the fee schedule, so we've just kind of been telling them, if you can hold out, you may just want to keep checking with
Got
us.
okay.
So they're just kind of waiting.
And the presenter's really Mike, so if you want to make sure to let him run through it, I just need to get better at specifying when we're doing the draft budget.
Yeah,
If you wanna
Mike, I
make
appreciate,
sure
I
he gets
appreciate your hard
do
work.
it.
You've done a great job in looking at this, and I really do appreciate all the work that you've done. I don't know, I think it's something's needed to be done. With this, another one of those things we've kind of pushed down kick the can down the road, and I think we're finally making a good difference, and we've came up with a really good solution, a cheaper solution. I just hope that they last, 5 years, or is it 10 years? What's the
So the warranty on them are 10 years.
10 years? Okay, as long as we don't put hot coals or run over them with
Yes.
the e-bike or anything, right? All right, let's move on to item number 14, land use applications. Oh. Okay,
Mayor, make a motion that we proceed with the purchase of the garbage containers as outlined in item number 13. up to the amount of $25,775.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay. Buy some garbage cans. You have a place to put them? You find a spot? All right. Okay, land use applications.
This was the discussion between the Board of Adjustments and the attorney or some optimist. I don't know, that's all I know about it.
You wanna go or go? Maybe introduce it.
Well, yeah, it's, so Ann and Dave kind of went to a meeting that we had. And I don't know exactly how to. Would you want to go first, or should we
Sure.
have Brody talk a little bit about that
Well,
first?
I'll take a stab and let Brody fill in all the cracks. Does that sound good? Right. Yeah, we talked about just some growing pains is basically what it boils down to. We've got some spots in the city where, we don't, maybe it doesn't make sense to go with what our code is, but as a planner and a city staff, they must follow those rules rigidly. That's what they're there for. So we've kind of got this place where like, well, what do we do in this case? Or what do we do in this case? That doesn't make common sense, basically. And so we just talked about some different ways, like, is there such thing as a variance and what does that look like? And we talked about different like appeal authorities and stuff like that. So we just kind of were discussing what do we need to do when it doesn't line up, when it doesn't match. And one thing that came out in that discussion too was that we really are in need of a full-time planner that kind of does run point with the engineer and the DRC. So yeah, so I'll pitch the ball. You can take it from there, Brody.
So I think that's an accurate representation of that movie.
Laura, if we gave him that mic, can you hear that on the recording or?
Yes.
Or, I just wondered if we should give him that mic, or can you hear it okay? Is it being picked up?
This would pick it up better.
Just want to get this on record here. Okay. Brody.
Everyone good?
Oh.
All right.
Do a little song, maybe a little soft.
Nobody wants that, I guarantee it. So yeah, we did have the meeting. We had a really good discussion. I think it was accurately relayed of what happened, what we talked about. And at the outset, I said this in the meeting multiple times, this is not something that's unique to Pleasant View, and this is not something that's unique to the land use space. Land use decisions and ordinances and processes are very difficult because the combination of what needs to happen is literally infinite. There's always different set of circumstances, different goals from the property owner and authority given and not given for the city. And so I think kind of the biggest takeaways and maybe where we need some guidance from the council after that meeting, we did talk about some, ways to maybe create some flexibility. And it's tough because ultimately, this is not Pleasant View City, Queen Andrea in charge, right? Andrea has a task to follow the law that this body creates. And oftentimes we get results that we maybe don't like. And it's no one's fault, right? As I think the electric bike discussion, like making a law, let alone a good one, is extremely difficult. But also Andrea doesn't get to pick, or any staff member, I'm picking on Andrea basically because she's not here. They don't have the ability to just be like, oh, you make sense today, we're going to do that. That's just not how it works. I think everyone knows this, but then when emotions and feelings and, difficulties for your neighbors or your friends or your, constituents, it's hard. So one of the things we talked about, a lot of people say, well, just give me a variance. The problem with that, just shooting straight, is the variance process is governed by state law and mountains of cases and opinions written by the ombudsman. And variances usually don't work in the situations that, the mayor gets called about. Because if a variance would just work, we would say, do this process and you'll get that result. But oftentimes we know the variances aren't going to work. And I'll just say this, one of the biggest thing with variance law is you can't create the need for the variance as the property owner. Like you're automatically out of that game by state law. So if you're wanting to change something or wanting this tweak, you don't get a variance, right? So there's some difficulties there. We did talk about like kind of a board of adjustments and how that works. Ann was right on that. And 100% recommendation from myself is that we change that process. We should not have a board of adjustments. All due respect to the city council, and this is why one day I'm going to get fired. The last thing we want is another political body to make an administrative/legal decision. All due respect to anyone involved in that process. It's just not a good process. I would recommend creating or changing that so that we have an appeal authority that comes in. It's a third party that is a lawyer that's trained. We have about 3 kind of that me and Mr. Wilson use kind of on a rotation or who's available. And there's more out there. But they're trained in land use decisions, the administrative process, and they can, you know, mediate and opine on these matters. The nice thing about appeal authority is it is appealable to district court based on their authority by either party. So it's a good process to follow. It's much better than creating a new political body to make a legal/administrative determination. So I would 100% recommend the city council task staff, basically Mr. Wilson and myself, to change that ordinance, change our code so that we have that process available. We also talked about development agreements. I think there was a good discussion both with the elected officials and staff about what a development agreement is for. I think there was probably some things that aren't necessarily wrong, but maybe staff maybe kind of took a little harsher stance than is necessary on a development agreement. A development agreement is a contract that's made between the city and a private entity for land use. And it can be as big or as little as needed. So I think there's a lot of flexibility for people to go and use that process and ultimately let this, you know, elected body decide whether or not they want to contract for land use with those applicants. I think that was a good kind of way forward to some of these issues that was brought out in the meeting. And then the other big item that did come up, and again, I say this as respectfully, I don't mean it to sound harsh, but you know, we talk about these issues. These issues are in you know, they're very complex. In the meeting, I talked a little bit about, you know, there was a czar of land use, and he retired about two years ago and won't take anybody's calls. Like, you can call him to go fishing, but like, he'll push you in the water if you bring it up to him, because he just is done. Beyond that, like, there are so few people that really know land use and all its ins and outs, because it's intricately complicated. I've been doing it for 7 years, and honestly, I feel like I'm decent, but we still work at it every day. And every time a situation comes up, I'm like, I have no idea. I got to go figure that out. So it is really hard. So I say that in that Pleasant View has tasked some staff members who are not planners, who are not land use experts, to be your expert. And they have done admirably. I'm not discounting them or trying to say that they're a bad employee. Quite frankly, I think it's the opposite. You gave somebody without any experience, if not one of the most difficult tasks in city administration. And so, yeah, if we want to better our processes and make things better for everybody, city staff and the applicants who want something, you need a planner that's experienced and educated, and that's not cheap. I think those were the highlights and kind of what we got. If I missed anything, Mayor, let me know.
Well, to start off with, Brody says, I think I'm going to make you mad today, and you might fire me. And I said, well, I don't think so. I do appreciate his candor and honesty. I put a lot of, that's why we hired him and Wilson, because of that honesty, and I think we can have a good conversation, and I appreciate that. And I came in and talked to Tammy today, and she says, oh, you can be taught, which is good. And I can, because I'm frustrated with some of the processes that we've talked about, this off-ramp to go against our code. And it was unfair to put Tammy or anybody in that position to not just be black and white. And so I appreciate what Brody is trying to do here. And so we're not going to make a decision on this yet, but I want him to work together with me, or, Dave and Ann came to the meeting, and we're good with that. But to find this outlet, find the best way, because you guys as city council really make the rules. I don't. I can have opinions, I can have these things, and that's where I get in the way of myself, because I look at, somebody calls me and I say, oh, that really doesn't make sense. Why are we doing that? I don't know, but it's in an ordinance. And so there's no way of doing that. And so this development agreement or this board that we can come to, I think that we want to just tackle that. And it's something, again, one of these kick the can down the road things. That I'm happy that we're making, it's gonna be harmful or hurt a little bit, but hopefully it'll be easier. Right? Is that fair? And I really appreciate Brody just being honest and being that voice of reason. And I think it was a good time. And anything else that you had on your list? I told Ann to take the notes and present.
No, I think we covered it. So,
Is that the,
yeah, so we were just discussing, right? And now are we gonna try and set a training date to do something with it?
well,
Is that what we were? You just kind of need a head nod that we want
Yeah.
this direction.
I think so.
It doesn't look like it's like a formal.
I don't know. What do you need, Brody, as far as time or? I know
Yes.
you're busy. And the other thing is I told to Brooke, cause he's on, we're paying him monthly. And at what point do we approach too much? And he says, we're not there yet, but yet is where it is. What do you need to help us?
So I think the biggest things from the council that we need kind of is just some direction. Do we want to work on getting rid of the board adjustments would be the first one and creating an appeal authority process rather than the board of adjustments? Kind of some direction to work on that or leave it alone. All due respect to the mayor, we don't get to just spend all this time and effort just because he wants it. And the council's got to give some direction. I'm happy we can do training anytime to the council about kind of what a development agreement process, so that when your friends and neighbors and constituents call you, you guys could know. I think, a lot of the situations that we talked about, quite frankly, it's a little clever, it's a little creative, but I think a development agreement is kind of the way to do some of those projects or issues that came up. So we can go through like what that would look like for the city, and then just discussion, I think too, on kind of staff.
So we are working with the planning commission to have some training with them as well. And I think I would like to maybe be this end of July or August timeframe, really to give the attorneys some time to put some stuff together, kind of get through Founder's Day, get through the 4th of July holidays. So I think sometime in August would be a date that I'd like to have us come together and kind of talk about that stuff. And we possibly could do that in a Saturday workshop or something, or a work session. And that's kind of when I'd like to do that next work session too, maybe that August, that halfway through. You feel good about that, or what are your thoughts?
I'll take any training that I can get, being the youngest and newest and least experienced. I'll take it.
Are we good with the Saturday, Brody? That's time with your family. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Attorney answer, it would depend, right? Saturdays are definitely my least favorite day to.
Is there some,
Think of it here,
we have city council on the 11th. I just don't think we should do that in city council. I don't. What are your thoughts?
Can we take an opposite city council, like an
Opposite.
Tuesday?
So the
Yeah, works.
18th, maybe?
I like that.
18th of August or the 4th of August?
Unless, can we do it the
got that.
same night as that?
Oh, is that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Is court? Or could we do it downstairs? Or doing it somewhere else?
Yeah, we had courts on Tuesday. I'm not sure which one's heard.
Mayor, one thing we could do, I don't know what the agendas look like, but you could schedule a city council meeting and then just when we're done, break off into a work session.
All these stupid things go till 8 to 9.
Well, then
There's no short ones.
it might be good to do that and we talk less and just get through it.
There you go. All right. You want to do the 11th? Depending on the no,
Yeah.
should tentatively put
Yeah.
the 11th in and see how that is, the length of our meeting, how much is on the agenda.
You asked for some direction, with a couple of questions. Does that give you direction you need? There's probably some more. You want some more feedback.
So I agree that we should go to an appeal authority. The only thing there is, it's going to cost money. The professionals that we will use charge professional fees, and we can negotiate that depending on how often they're needed. But we just need to go into it with our eyes open. It will cost the city money.
But some of those things I think are pass-through stuff. If somebody wants to go that route, want to go against our ordinance, that would be a fee that they would pay. That'd be a cost of doing business. No, can't do that?
No, they would pay an application fee,
Yeah.
but the city would pay the cost.
So
for
would
the-
they,
the appeal authority.
if they want to go outside of the normal ordinance,
Okay, so there's two avenues and I think we're putting them together. If an appeal authority is only if they're saying this is wrong, your staff determination or what you decided is in error. So that is a smaller subsection of what we're talking about. So that is saying, they applied for X, we said no, because that's what's going to bring it up because of da-da-da, and they say you're wrong. That's when a Board of Adjustments or an appeal authority comes
so
into
that
play.
wouldn't, why would we then be responsible for that? If they say we're wrong or they want something different, why wouldn't they have to pay that?
Yeah, ask the state and the Constitution. I can't tell you that answer.
But why would that be? on us
Because it's
to do
a
that?
process, right? We have to have some sort of process.
So if we have a process, I mean, they pay a fee to go through the
To go through
process.
the process, but
And if they don't like our process, then we have to have a fee to.
well, we have to pay, I mean, so essentially what would happen, and if the authority meets, there's still costs associated there, right? What Mr. Wilkinson is saying is we are changing that to, instead of being this semi-quasi public body, you're bringing in essentially an administrative judge to make rulings on the administrative process that's occurred within Pleasant View. So we do eat the cost on that. I think kind of now where I think you're talking about is if somebody wants a modification or a kind of a deal, a special deal that makes sense, that is a development agreement process. And the appeal authority wouldn't be involved in that.
Okay, so would that be an additional fee process to do that? Or is that?
Yeah, there's
not?
an application fee.
Okay,
But I mean,
All right.
it's nominal. It's not very much.
yeah, but it would. Anyway, all right, well, we'll talk about that later.
I think there's also a factor in here of time, because I think the complaint is if you do have to go through a process, you're at back of the line, then back of the line, back of the line, right? And that's one of the challenges in a growing city, that you'll
Well,
just continue to get pushback.
I hope the planner will take a lot of these problems away.
Yeah. And we did
And-
talk about that a lot.
And it will be, but there'll be some time. And then that will also be part of your discussion is what you guys want to do and what you expect the timeframes and the turnaround things to be. I think that's part of the city council's responsibility to set some of those.
Agreed.
Right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do this on, what did I say, the 11th? Set that. So I'd entertain a motion then to set that date as a work session. Well, that's the normal city council.
Just
So after,
Is
it's
that
for
an
after the
agenda?
meeting.
Is it an agenda item, or would we?
Yeah, we just adjourn it to the work
Yeah.
session.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we still need to set a date, right, Larry?
I don't know that you need
For
a
that, or
motion.
just-
I
or
think
just
you
go?
Kind of need head nods from the
Okay,
council. if
head
that's what they
nods.
Want to do. Yep.
There we go.
One comment, Mayor, on this subject too. If we think, just looking at where we sit and with what's happening off the 2700 exit and that attraction to our city and the growth and all of the other, this is not a problem that's going to go away. This is something, if we're a city of 11,000 residents and we have a capacity of 25,000, like we're going to get there pretty quick. And
Well,
that's,
we have 5 major things right now that are going to happen in the next year or two.
Yep.
That are major things that we need help with. So anyway, we don't need to talk about that. Other business, let's go with Larry. Thanks for everything you do, keeping us straight. Appreciate that. Tyson.
Just trying to move the 3 major projects forward, the Zone 1, decant 500 West. And then we've been meeting, with the emergency management group with Weber County and kind of gathering resources, the CERT. Taj is at their first CERT council meeting since that assignment, so tonight. So we should meet up after and hear, how that went. hopefully we'll be getting that info together and then that new safety policy for the trip has. So put those plans together, hopefully be bringing you something soon with beefing those up and further protecting
Thank
the
you,
city.
thank you for accepting that call.
Yes, sir.
Stetson.
Couple things, we had an officer. Couple things, we had an officer, today's his last day. He's leaving us to go to another agency. With that said, we did offer a job and he accepted. We hired a new officer that's gonna start later this week. We're excited for him. He's got 23 years on, lives here in Pleasant View. He's a great guy. And, we're excited to have him come on. Other than that, we're just, this time of year, we're trying to get everybody's training wrapped up. There's a lot of state mandated training that officers have to complete. And so we're getting everybody, make sure they're all up to speed on that and getting all their mandatory trainings in. Sarah, our animal control and code enforcement, she's been out and about. I actually, kind of recently had her change the processes that she's doing to where she's getting a case number for about everything she does. She would go give out a lot of letters and stuff and not really get a case number, just give out the letter and then they would call and because she was giving out several every day. But I kind of asked her to track that a little better through dispatch and through getting a case number so that she can, so we can start to kind of get a measure on how much of that she's dealing with and what kind of, how much of it she's getting a response on. I think when you go out and give 5, 6, 8, 10 a day, you don't really follow up on every one of them unless they follow up with you. And so she's been super busy doing that. It's exciting to see how much compliance she's getting from people. Obviously, I'm sure you guys and me get the calls of the people that are not complying, but she's been taking care of that and been really busy with that. So along those lines, if you see stuff throughout the city regarding that, code enforcement or vehicles parked that are broke down with flat tires or whatever, and people call you on it or you see it yourself, give us a call because we don't make it through every single street every single day. And so just reach out to us. But other than that, we're doing good.
Brody, do you have anything else? Thank you for coming. Sean.
Nothing.
Tyson, we still good for training on Fridays? Does that work with your schedule?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
I went to the Northview Senior Center for their committee meeting. They're talking about doing some updates and stuff. We also need to enter into a new interlocal agreement with them. I talked to them about that. But I had one of them pull me aside and say, hey, we need some more carpet. And we were wondering if Pleasant View would donate $2,000 towards carpet. But it looks like to me that we're doing $5,000 towards the program and then $12,000 we send to North Ogden for North Ogden City for facility O&M.
Was that every year or is that just one time last year?
No, that's every year, and expired this last January or December.
Can't remember that much.
But I don't know how this looks or what you do, but like, if we send the 12,000 to North Ogden, are they spending it on the senior center? Does it just go into their general fund? Like, is that something we want to maybe do in our interlocal agreement straight to the Northview Senior Center?
I think that's a great point.
This is a thought. So anyway, they're working on the interlocal to bring it back to us. So that's something we should consider, I think.
So with the senior center, we're partnering with them so we don't have to have one. And I didn't think we had that much. I didn't think it was that much, but I believe that it is.
That's true.
I will talk with Ryan and John just to see what that's being used for. And because, they had some major stuff. Was it last year or the year before? They really asked for a lot more. Was it?
This was the 3-year.
Okay.
Expired.
And they do need, they are in disrepair. They do need some help on that
Yeah.
stuff, but I just want to make
Yeah,
sure that
no,
that's where it's really good.
That's good. Yeah.
And then if you guys are okay, I want some help with in a PV minute, I'll contact you and get just a couple sentences on for this one that I just ran by you. So cool.
I think Ann is doing a great job. She's our Vanna White.
No, I'm not.
I love it. I think it's
Well-
really good.
Well, we've only had happy things to tell people. Now we're gonna start telling about some hard things, right?
Yeah. I just,
Yeah, received, yeah.
I love this communication and we're just gonna only get better with that. So thank you for everybody. Okay, coins. I've given everybody a coin. I've talked with several members and we're going to give each council person 10. Okay, we're going to give each employee one. There's about 40 employees that we're gonna give. I don't know if we're gonna give Brody anything, but maybe if he's, because you're honest, we might give him one. I want, so Mike, with Parks, we're gonna give him 4 for Public Works. He's gonna hide them each week in June. Hide one in the park kind of as a scavenger hunt. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
I want to give Senator Lee, Representative Moore, Ryan Wilcox, Kyle, Jason Kyle, John Johnson, and maybe the commissioners one or 3, one each. Is there anybody else? I just don't want to duplicate some of the giveaway things, but I want to keep track of them as well. You know, we're making just a little bit off each one, but they're gonna be $5 a piece. It's gonna be here at the city. So I want there to be a big push for it. America 250 and Pleasant View 175. So everybody good with that?
That looked great.
I talked with Dave a little bit before he left on his trip. He's very happy, and I'm very happy with how Founder's Day is coming. I think everybody's doing well and it's progressing. I will not be here for that meeting either, that Founder's Day meeting. So that's kind of the last one. This has been the hardest thing for me to give up, is that stinking Founder's Day thing. So don't let me down, anyone. I've already screamed and yelled at Ann because I want to serve the salmon. And she says, no, I don't think so. And I said, well, I want to, and I don't know where we've ended up. I hope I'm going to be serving salmon, but anyway.
I like the assignments.
So I think that's really good. So thanks for everybody. We do have a closed meeting today. And I would like to invite Stetson to come with that meeting and our attorney. And then the council people, if that's okay. So I'd entertain a motion to go into a closed meeting.
I will move that we
Yeah, and that's for the state where it's gonna be and
Yeah,
read
I
the.
was just thinking that. Move that we enter a closed hearing here at the Pleasant View City Office at 8:07 PM on Tuesday, May 26th. Oh, thank you. Yes. For the
Consideration.
for the purpose of consideration for the discussion of the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual pursuant to the Utah Open and Public Meetings Law.
I'll second.
We have a motion to second. Is that a roll call? Just need a roll call everything. Johnny
Yes.
and
Yes.
Yes.
okay, I'm gonna use the